I really do. Tyreek Hill's coming home. He's coming home to KC, the team that drafted him, the team that took a chance on him when many other teams didn't, molded him into the player that he is today. Be grateful, bro. Saturday, high of 8 degrees, low of -1. Are you kidding me? Hell no! What's going on, everyone? You were listening to the Antonio Chauran Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Antonio Chauran, and for 10 seconds, I'm going to chew my gum like Pete Carroll in honor of him being let go of head coaching duties of the Seattle Seahawks. So I'm going to do that for the first 10 seconds of this video right now in honor of him. Go Hawks. So if you guys saw my last video, I was kind of giving my overall takeaways and reactions from the last week of the NFL, week 18. And I said that for this video, I would mainly just be going over what I think is going to be going on for Wild Card Weekend, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. But first, I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about some of the crazy news that's been going on, not just in the NFL, but in football in general. I'll start with, I think, the biggest news is that Alabama head coach Nick Saben, who, undoubtedly the best college football coach ever, announced he's retiring. That's crazy. I was not expecting that. He is a little bit older, right? I understand that, but a guy that's as competitive and passionate as him, I did not expect for him to, end up thinking that at the end of the season he was going to retire. Especially given the fact that they didn't even make the, college football championship. Obviously, they made it to the semifinals and lost to the eventual champions and the Michigan Wolverines. By the way, congratulations to Michigan. I didn't say anything about it in my last video, but good for Jim Harbaugh to finally bring a championship to Michigan for the first time in almost 30 years or so. I think I don't remember the last time they won a championship, but it was in the 90s. And so that was really cool of him to do that. But yeah, I definitely was not expecting that. I don't think anybody was. So that was a big shock that just came out just a few hours ago. And then switching over to the NFL really quickly. It's that time of season now where teams that did not make the playoffs are starting to make their moves. We can start with Tennessee with Mike Vrabel being let go, which is crazy. Definitely something I wasn't expecting. And something interesting with the Bears. I'm glad that Matt Eberflus was not let go, but his entire staff was fired pretty much. So there's that. We obviously know everything that happened with Brandon Staley. That was much needed for sure. Obviously, Pete Carroll as well, given my 10-second tribute to him with his infamous gum chewing. He was relieved of his duties as well. Ron Rivera, we already talked about that. That wasn't surprising. The job kind of up in the air with the Raiders. Antonio Pierce is, you would like to think should be the guy, but apparently he's garnered some interest for that Tennessee Titan job. So that'll be interesting to see what happens there. But yeah, so some movement going on. We're just now midway through the week on Wednesday. So yeah, people are making their moves, but you know what? That is what it is in the NFL world, especially when you're not seeing the success that you'd like to see. But the Commanders make sense. Obviously, with the Chargers, that made sense. But I'm very surprised about Tennessee with Mike Vrabel as well as Pete Carroll, especially given how, these last 2 seasons haven't been winning seasons. But for the first 4 years or so, 4 or 5 years of Mike Vrabel's tenure there, at one point they were in the AFC Championship game. Now they lost to my Kansas City Chiefs. but they still made it there, So even though they lost 35-24, I still remember that bomb, the Sammy Watkins to really end the game there. Those are fond memories. Um, but yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to rub salt in the wound here, Titans fans, but that happened. So you need to be reminded of that. But yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what goes on over these next few weeks, few months. But let's talk about the teams that are actually playing for something this weekend. So let's talk about the first game that will be at 4:30 p.m. Eastern time on Saturday. That'll be the Browns at Texans. I think the Browns are going to win this game. Joe Flacco, man, has been on a heater since he became the starter. For the Browns, over the past 5 games, they have averaged around 31 points per game, and they have a great defense. This is a team, depending on matchups, that can, dare I say, make a run. Having guys like Amari Cooper and David Njoku, guys like that, and they have a pretty deep running back group, including Kareem Hunt, who used to be a Chief. They got a squad, and obviously you got Myles Garrett on the defensive side of the ball, freaking dog, man. Yeah, I mean they got a squad. They really do. Kevin Stefanski, candidate for Coach of the Year, in my opinion. Yeah, they have a really good team, and they have guys that are vets that have been in the playoffs before. And then you're going up against a Texan team that hasn't seen the playoffs since they lost that lead against the Chiefs at one point, up 24-0, and we came back and won that game 51-31. So again, I kind of have to rub salt in the wound just a little bit because that was a hell of a game. But yeah, I think, look, giving flowers to CJ Stroud, D'Amico Ryans, for what they've been able to do with the Texans this season, it's been incredible, right? And they should definitely hang their hat on that. But I think personally the Browns have the better overall team, to be quite honest with you. So I'm going to pick the Browns to win this game here in Wild Card Weekend, 30-21. I know technically on the schedule the Chiefs and Dolphins go next, but that's my team. I want to save them for last, so I'll skip over them. So the next game we have Steelers at Bills. This could be a very low scoring game. I say very low scoring, maybe not, maybe very is kind of a strong word, but it's possible that this is an under 20 score game for both teams. You have a Steelers offense that typically has been hindered for the most part this season. But ever since letting go of Matt Canada, you've seen different sparks within this offense. And, they needed that win, obviously, against Baltimore to win 17-10. Now, granted, there's a little asterisk next to it, given that they didn't have all their starters in. But, seeing that big play, that big gain, big yardage play with George Pickens, I felt like was huge. Or no, it was Deontay Johnson, I believe. So having big plays like that in an offense that doesn't really see that many big plays is huge, right? And I feel like just from a mentality standpoint, that's something that you need to get something going, get some momentum going, even if it's in a game like that where you're playing against a team that is resting, they're already secured the 1 seed and aren't playing other guys. From the Bills standpoint, this isn't, in my opinion, a game that you need to be too worried about in terms of if you turn the ball over, it's going to come and bite you in the butt, just given that you've seen the offensive limitations that the Steelers have had. I'm very surprised that Miami wasn't able to capitalize on those mistakes, but I think that tells more about Miami in that sense. So I'm not saying go out there, Josh Allen, and throw 3-4 picks and act like you're going to be perfectly fine. Don't do that. But at the same time, I think with the Steeler team, you have some wiggle room in that sense. But I mean, the records, you're only a game apart. Steelers are 10-7, Bills are 11-6. But I do think that the Bills have the overall better team and will win this game. But I think the Steelers will fight. I really do, but I think the Bills have the better overall team. So I'm going to pick the Bills to win this game here, 19-14. Next up, we have the Packers at Cowboys. I didn't really put too much thought into this, given that the Cowboys, I think, are for real this season. I really do. If the 49ers don't represent the NFC and the Super Bowl, my next guess would be the Cowboys. Um, Now, we'll see what happens in the divisional round with who matches up with the 49ers and what could happen there. Spoiler alert, it could be the Rams, and maybe that may or may not give away who I think will win against that Rams-Lions game. But yeah, I think the Cowboys just have the better overall team. I mean, they're undefeated at home throughout this entire season. It's every other team's kryptonite playing the Cowboys in Jerry World in Arlington. So yeah, I don't think this will be a very close game. I think early on it can be competitive, but I think eventually, kind of like when the Cowboys and Commanders were playing, it was kind of nip and tuck at first, and they just freaking blew it open, won like 35 or 38-10. I think it'll be similar to this. Maybe not to that magnitude, but eerily similar. So I want to pick the Cowboys to win this game here, 31-20. Next up, the Rams at Lions. In Detroit, Matt Stafford returns to his team in the Detroit Lions, a team that he spent many, many years with, took to the playoffs. And, for a while there, people thought he was going to retire as a Detroit Lion. And lo and behold, they ship him off to LA and get Jared Goff back. Jared Goff playing against his former team in the LA Rams. So it's it's an interesting game from those standpoints, from a personal standpoint. But give me the Rams. Give me the Rams because I think when it comes to games like this, experience matters. Now, look, I understand that Jared Goff went to a Super Bowl. I also understand that they lost 13-3 in the Super Bowl to the New England Patriots. If we made it to the Super Bowl that year, I have no doubt we would have won. No doubt. But we lost to the freaking Bengals. No, I'm sorry. We lost to the Patriots. We lost to the Bengals when they played the Rams. That following, or not that following, but a few games or a few seasons later, when they played LA and lost. So again, Matt Stafford wins the Super Bowl for the Rams. Jared Goff did not. Hence, that's why they got him to begin with. But yeah, don't even get me started on the AFC Championship game with the Patriots. That can be a video. You know what? I'll make a video on that. D Ford lining off sides. Let me not. Anyways, Detroit's defense isn't very good, in my opinion. They can get to the quarterback with Aiden Hutchinson. But to be honest with you, they're not a team where they're going to be stopping you. You got to give a lot of credit to Sean McVay and what he's been able to do in a year where you thought it was mainly going to be a transition year, and being able to have the Rams at 10-7 and really hitting on all cylinders right now, if you think about it. Having guys like Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp, on your offensive side, Tyler Higbee at tight end, and Williams, Kyron Williams, I think is how you say his name. I mean it's been a great season for them. And obviously on the defensive side of the balls, you got Aaron Donald. I mean, that guy's a beast. So yeah, I think the Rams can pull up the upset here. Credit to Detroit for the amazing season that they've had, but I think the Rams are going to win this game here. So I'm going to pick LA to win this game 28-24. Monday night, Eagles at Bucks. Philly playing in Tampa Bay because Philly has choked over this almost the last half of the season. And you can just tell, and I talked about this in the last episode that I did here. they just don't look the same. They look lost. They look discouraged. They look defeated. They look not like the same old Philly that they had last year. All of those Philly fans talking all that shit to me last year about how they're going to beat us and blah blah blah, and that Casey isn't going to win, and obviously we win, and here we are this time next year, and yeah, you guys are 11-6. Tampa is 9-8, but I feel like Tampa fans are happier with that 9-8 record compared to Philly being 11-6. Tale of two records, even though one is better than the other statistically. Now, with that being said, I will pick Philly to win. But out of all of the scores, all of the predictions I have right now, this is the least confident one that I have. I am picking Philly strictly off of the players that I see on Philly compared to Tampa Bay. Now, like I said, I'm not very confident in this pick, and it would not surprise me at all if Baker Mayfield's Tampa Bay Buccaneers upset the Eagles. But I'm still going to pick Philly to win this game. I think the Eagles just have too much to lose if they lose this game. They really do. They have too much to lose if they lose this game, more than Tampa does. So with that being said, I'm going to pick Philly to win this game. I'm not confident in it, but I'm still going to pick them to win this game. 27-26. I think it'll be a close game. I feel like it's going to be like a last minute field goal type of thing. They're going to get points scored on them, but I think they'll win this game 27-26. Higher scoring. Not confident, but I'm picking Philly. So, yeah. All right. This isn't the last game on the schedule, but it's the last game I'm going to be giving a score for, and that is Miami Dolphins at Kansas City. I'm picking the Chiefs. Of course I am. To be honest with you, out of all of the teams that it could have been, I'm happy it was Miami, especially given the fact of the play that they displayed against Buffalo. Oh, yeah. And what's nice, too, and I heard Nick Wright say this on First Things First, and I agree. This is the best case scenario because of the matchup we have against them, but also given the fact that they are a respected offensive team, so we're not going to overlook them. In comparison to, like, let's say a Pittsburgh Steeler team that just squeaked in, I feel like it's much easier to overlook a team like that in comparison to Miami. So I say all that to say I'm satisfied and I'm happy with this matchup and I feel good about it. I really do. I don't think our defense is going to let up more than 16, 17 points in this game. Now, what needs to happen here is offense needs to show up. I'm not saying we got to put up 30, but I would like us to win comfortably. I really do. Tyreek Hill's coming home. He's coming home to KC, the team that drafted him, the team that took a chance on him when many other teams didn't. Molded him into the player that he is today. Be grateful, bro. Anyways, the other key factor here is the weather. I look at my app right now. I'm looking at my weather app right now. Let's see Kansas City right now. Saturday, high of 8 degrees, low of -1. Are you kidding me? Hell no. I saw the cheapest tickets right now are for, I think, the Kansas City game. It's at like $69. I think is nice. The lowest amount uh, for a ticket right now, and it's purely because of the weather. Like if it was going to be nice, if it was above 30 degrees, 30 degrees or above, the cheapest ticket would be at least $200, at least 200, 250, maybe even $300. Um, but because the weather's going to be just stupid cold, yeah, they have it at $69 right now, I think is what I saw. So yeah, I think that's also going to be a huge factor given the fact that Miami, they're playing in Miami, half the season in nice weather and nice climate, humidity. Now you're going to the frozen tundra, man. Like it's a totally different animal. Um, and yeah, I can't remember who said it, but I saw someone say, you see these Miami players barely wanting to tackle Josh Allen in 60, 65-degree weather. What makes you think they're going to want to tackle Pacheco in sub-degree weather? And I 100% agree. At that point, it's about toughness. It's about being uncomfortable. It's about your mental toughness as well, not just physical, but mental. And I think Kansas City has that. I really do. I think we have it more. We have the experience. We know what it takes to play in the playoffs and be successful and go win championships, and that's what we've done over these past 4 or 5 years. So I'm confident we're going to win this game. I really am. Again, I'm not expecting us to put up 30 points. And I noticed, or not noticed, but I saw and I read on Instagram that there were two linebackers that the Dolphins signed. One of them was ex Chief Justin Houston. Now he's out of his prime for sure, but I mean, I would have loved to have Justin Houston. I think he's a great player. He's great for Kansas City. And they got another guy too because Van Geekel was out. He was a great player, but they were short on the defensive side of the ball for sure. I don't know if Jalen Waddle's going to be playing. I think that'll be an X factor as well. But regardless if he's playing or not, I mean, he played in Frankfurt when we played them, and they still only put up 14 points. We held him to 0 points in the first half. So again, I feel confident going into this game, and I think we're going to win this game. I do. I feel confident about it, and I think we're going to, you know, put the league on notice a little bit. I feel confident with what we're going to be able to do with this game in terms of winning confidently. So with that being said, I'm going to pick us to win this game 24-14. I think that'll be the final score. I think we're going to be able to hold this Miami team. I really do. I think we're going to make too uncomfortable. We're going to limit those big plays. L'Jarius Sneed's going to lock up Tyreek. I really believe that. Tyreek Hill, he's going to want to have a big game against us, and it's going to be different because it'll be in Arrowhead instead of all the way across the world in Germany. And that's going to be a whole other beast in and of itself. So, yeah, I want to pick the Chiefs to win this game here 24-14 and take us to the next round. So let's get it. All righty, everyone. Thank you all for listening. It's going to be a great weekend. I'm really excited. So we'll see what happens. I feel confident, though, in my Chiefs that we're going to do enough to win this game and win comfortably. I think the defense is going to have a hell of a game, and will be the main reasons and the key reasons why we win this game. Feed Pacheco, man. Feed that guy. I think he's going to get 100 yards for sure, at least. But yeah, so let's do it. I'll be in New York, like I said, with my girl, but I'm going to try to find a way maybe to see some of the game. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, anyways, thank you all for listening, and I will see you all next time. Peace.